Hi there, welcome to Razz My Berries. I'm Sam.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Crystal.
She's my wife. I love her. Come here.
Today, the three of us went to go see Kimi no Na wa, or Your Name in English.
What's your name?
I forget.
My name's Sam.
I forget.
What's
your name? Oh, wait. This isn't Dora, is it?
No.
That was my favorite part, too.
I have to say, this is... I can't think of too many movies. I can't really think of any movies off the top of my head that were any better than this.
In terms of...
It
Of
made
what?
me laugh. It made me cry a fair amount. And this was not my first time seeing this. Both Crystal and I watched this online. It was a DVD rip with hard-coded English subtitles over hard-coded Chinese subtitles. But this was Ryan's first time seeing it. So we got to watch him have the same reactions that we did.
But in English dubbed.
The dub is the first thing I want to talk about. Because I know reading online and like Reddit mainly, people were really concerned about the voice actors for the English dub, and I have to say I'm impressed. But
I love how
it's Funimation.
I love how
They do
in
a pretty
sync
good
it
job.
is. The in sync of it all. Because usually I've seen pretty badly dubbed things, and I've seen some pretty bad dubbing of animes, but this was really perfect.
And I mean, they had the budget to make it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only thing I was worried about was the dubbing, because I already knew how beautiful the animation was. And how
Oh
the
my
story
gosh,
went,
the animation.
and how the story went along so nicely.
I remember when I watched the opening part of it after the Funimation logo, and I thought, okay, is this the opening thing? Was the actually opening scene? And I thought it was like showing, they do in a lot of movies when it's more than one like studio helping making the movie. I thought it was going to be one of those, but no, it was the actual animation. I was like blown away by how well detailed it is. For a while, it's like, oh my gosh, this looks like it was actually real. At one point, it's like this is like the real city of Japan, but it was actually not. It was the animation, and I was blown away how beautiful it is. Animation has gotten so crisp and so perfectly detailed over the years, because you could definitely go back into early like 80s and 90s and to the 2000s, and you can always see the difference in the decades of how the animation has come from. You can tell, oh, this is a really old anime, and you can say, oh, this is current anime.
Well, going back to the whole realism aspect, I know it, especially in these high-budget movies, they'll go out and take actual pictures out in, like, Tokyo, and then use that as the reference.
Yeah.
Or, they can also put a filter over footage if they were taking a video of it and use that instead. This movie may have just as well been a Miyazaki film with how beautiful the detail was.
I watched that whole thing, and I could not stop thinking about how well, and I turned to you saying, I still can't get over how well this animation is. It's so indescribable. It's just so beautiful.
Well, and I just the comet going over.
Yeah, oh my gosh!
Fluidity,
yes, the fluid motion of the animation too, of the characters moving, the comet and that.
Just the color palette of that comet,
right?
So, okay, from the way I saw it, so was the comet somehow causing them to switch bodies?
Go ahead.
Yes, please explain.
From what I took when I watched the movie for the first time, it seemed that possibly it had to do with Mitsuha's family line, as stated by her grandmother later in the movie, that a similar experience happened to her, as well as her mother and
So on.
shrine people
Quite a few people
beforehand, and it seemed like that may have been linked to certain disasters, as the comet was referred to many a time during the movie.
I thought that everyone had seen the comet, but the comet only comes every 1,200 years, I think they said. So I think it was kind of a premonition to the comet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, something similar has happened to, like, the shrine people that may have been linked to the comet, as it was a natural disaster. You know,
yeah, because the first time it broke, it hit that area, the same area.
Yeah,
it made that huge lake.
I'm gonna guess it probably broke off then as well, and because the shrine was in a crater.
Yeah,
as well,
the shrine was in the crater,
and they mentioned that it was destroyed by.
Yeah, so logically, both of those are from the comet.
For some reason, based on what you've said, Mitsuha is now switching bodies with Taki on certain days. It doesn't seem to be very consistent. Like, at first, did they say maybe it was like every other day, or it just happens randomly?
At first, it was pretty random, but later on in the movie, I think it was about every other day.
So naturally, when you have a boy and a girl switching bodies, there's some awkwardness in there.
Don't forget the rules.
So once they start realizing it, they start setting some basic rules, which turn into a really funny montage of, you don't do this, you cannot look at me while I'm bathing,
well, technically, while you're can't look at you while
you can't. You can't look at yourself while you're bathing, and
work, spending money,
and don't spend a lot of money. And they both don't want a relationship. But I gotta say, the characters were very enjoyable. The side characters were enjoyable. I'd say they were pretty well developed. You definitely cared about the characters. Especially when we hit to that certain point to where we find out that...
I don't know what you're getting at.
You don't know what I'm getting at?
Twilight?
No, when we're finding out that, you mean we're in a different time zone. But, like, you know.
When they try to contact each other, basically, when they start, like... When they switched the bodies, they kind of added each other in their phones, not realizing that when they tried to contact each other, both numbers are basically disconnected, and they didn't even know where each other lived at the point.
They only had based off when they were timing there together. She knew that he was in Tokyo, but he didn't know where she was. Out in the boons, as the dubbed says.
Yeah.
On the boons, but with his memory, he was able to recreate the landscape using his architecture skills in drawing.
Yes, he drew it, but we found out that that she tries to meet him, and when they meet, she doesn't.
It was at a point where he hadn't
met her yet.
He hadn't been switching bodies, so he didn't know of her yet. But.
So he tries to find her.
No,
he tried to go find her.
He didn't realize at the time it was his later self who went and looked and figured out what happened to her in the town.
Which, here's the spoiler! The town is exploded because of the meteor that broke off of the meteor overhead.
Well, it's a comet.
Overhead, whatever.
Well, they figured it out.
Technically turned into a meteor when the parts that broke off technically
turned into a meteor. causing the town and everybody in it to die.
Well, they didn't figure that out until they went to a cafe and some of the workers recognized the architecture picture that he drew, that he was basing his find off of. So, and that's when he started to figure out that of what actually happened, which actually occurred
at a different time.
Yes.
So go ahead, tell them about my reaction to when I found out the town was gone.
Yeah.
Priceless.
I mean, I don't know about you. I know it was basically the same reaction I had.
I definitely agreed. Like, I knew there was something going on, but then once it actually showed it, I was like, that makes sense.
You weren't devastated.
I was devastated, but it was like, it's more of that the story has come together finally. You know, like, we're finally understanding what's going on.
And that was actually a point that I had seen criticized a lot, which people criticize time travel, which this is loosely time travel, I guess.
It's a fixed point in time, Sam. It's a fixed point in time.
Yeah, but it was still technically time traveling.
Well, it's technically a point because the fact of going back, I said it was a natural disaster.
Yeah.
But they were able to save the people that were killed while not interfering much with the actual disaster.
Well, and that's not the point people have a problem with. The point that people have a problem with is that somehow neither one of them saw what year it was while they were in their other bodies.
Oh.
I'm like,
yeah, actually,
how often do you honestly see a year?
Oh, okay, I can kind of see that, but
I can see that. Yeah,
sometimes
that makes sense.
Sometimes like in schools and stuff, you still see people like put the date on at the top.
Well, the weird thing was it was still the same days though.
Yeah,
so it must have been a different year. But honestly, if I look at my calendar now, like, so the first thing I do when I see my phone, it just tells me Sunday, April 9th. Doesn't tell me the year.
You've got an iPhone. I've got an Android.
They had iPhones on there.
I have a 7. I have an iPhone 7.
You had a Hulu app.
I mean, my Android doesn't tell me the year either. Like, really, the only time I see a year is on a computer. Like, on your computer, you've got the date and time down in the bottom right-hand corner, and it tells the year.
It tells the year, yeah.
But
they didn't get on a laptop, did they?
No.
Well, there was there a computer one of the friends was looking on?
Yeah.
When they were finally starting to research?
Yeah, but, I mean, when they were switched, they were never at a computer.
But then again, they were probably more freaking out about, oh my gosh, our bodies switched. Yeah. I wonder what year it is. It probably just didn't register, because honestly, you're gonna be more freaked out about, oh my gosh, I'm in a girl's body.
Well, and even then, you know, I assume they probably had like a wall calendar around somewhere.
Yeah,
but the wall calendars don't. The wall calendars usually only have, at least here in America, they only have the year on like the cover, not on each individual month.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I won't shut down the criticism. It's definitely a valid criticism, but that doesn't ruin the movie for me, because I just suspend that.
I would argue that that's not a fair criticism.
I mean,
that's I can see that's nitpicking.
It is nitpicking. It definitely is. I mean, it's just I can just see why people would say that. I'll let them say that. That's their opinion, and so.
Yeah, honestly, that was like the only criticism I ever saw of the movie. The thing that really made me cry was when they disappeared from being in front of each other. Because they cut the background music that was playing right at the point where
she was starting to write her name.
Yeah, where she disappeared, and
the pen dropped.
And the pen dropped, and all she got was a single line.
I cried the first time I saw it too. I was just like, my breath.
That reminds me.
Stopped.
It reminded me so much of Doctor Who. You remember Rose Tyler? And then it was gone.
Yeah.
Love you, David Tennant. And I just love the fact that she opens her hand because she knows there's somebody, but she can't remember the name. She looks at her hand. It doesn't say his name. It says, "I love you."
Mm-hmm. Well, and you remember when he was looking through the journal app and then it started deleting itself?
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder which timeline was causing everything to delete itself. Because, if it was a ghost occupying his body and writing all of that, was the changing of the timeline to where she was still alive, did that delete it? Or did the fact that she died and never occupied his body?
Occupied his body, yeah.
Because the days were synced.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The days were synced, but the year wasn't.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments which theory you think. I don't know if you looked over at him when they the scene when
it went to black
in the winter when they passed each other.
Oh yeah,
he was getting so worked up about that.
I could tell, and I don't blame him because when I first watched it, I kind of did that as well a little bit. Not to the point of where I was like screaming at the viewing device I was looking at it on, but I was pretty much saying, are they still gonna pull, the whole, will they meet, or are they just gonna say, it's just gonna be like one of those pass and go kind of things where
I would
they
have
pass
been
each other.
Mad if they did. No, you have to say hi to each other. Which actually they did an actual title drop because they ended with "What's your name?" and the title drops there.
What do you think of that?
I love the way that ends because it's like, okay, they saw each other. Now I can just fulfill the rest of the future in my head unless they do a sequel.
They're not going to do it.
No.
Well, then good. The end of the story goes the way I want it to. I can just imagine it and I'll be happy with it. The other thing I really liked about the film overall, the music was really beautiful.
The fact that it was dubbed in English as
well.
Dubbed
English was really good.
And the fact that the original artist was able to sing in English.
It's always great.
That's talent.
Yeah, it's always great. Yeah, it's always great when a Japanese band or artist can record not only in Japanese but they also record in English. I've seen that with Kingdom Hearts, the game. When the theme music, she sang it in Japanese and she also sang it in English. And then Sword Art Online, which is a really good anime I like. I went on iTunes because I wanted to see if I could buy it, and I saw that I could get the Japanese version or I can get the English version, but it's the same artist, just recorded in English. So it's always nice when they can do that, but it's also, it's still very beautiful either way. So it's really hard to pick, do I really want to, or do you buy both?
They do learn some English over in Japan in school.
They do have classes.
Yeah, just like we have classes here.
A lot of them, when they speak in English, they have very heavy accents. But the artist whose name I don't remember the name of the artist, but I don't know if you two noticed, but there was pretty much no accent.
Yeah, there was no accent. It sounded like an English.
Yeah, and
it was English-speaking person.
I know.
It was so good.
It was beautiful.
Should we move on to final verdicts?
Yeah.
This time, it's going to be rated out of 15 because there are 5 raspberries for you, 5 raspberries for me, and now 5 raspberries for Crystal. So out of 15. So Sam, you go ahead and start. Out of your 5 raspberries, what do you give it?
Well, I'm going to give it the same score that I gave it on my anime list. So I'm going to give it 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5. Crystal.
My anime list is actually out of 10, but But I only have 5 raspberries to work with, so...
Exactly. You know how hard it was to find 5 extra raspberries just for her?
We had to take 5 raspberries away from another movie.
Your 5 out of 5 raspberries, what would you give it?
5.
5 raspberries.
So, between the 3 of us, we're going to give it a perfect score
pretty much.
of 15 raspberries.
Yeah. Well, I haven't given my score yet, but honestly...
You
can just give Did you take my 5 raspberries and just say, nope, Ryan, I've given 10 raspberries. I'm taking your share of 5.
I'm sorry, I lost track.
Yeah, that's okay, because I am also going to give it a 5 raspberries, because...
Hey.
So, as I said before, we're giving it a perfect score of 15 out of 15.
Because, yep, leave a comment, subscribe if you want more, and we'll get back to you.
See you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Last hello, you've opened your eyes, but why won't you even look me in